Beloved chosen one, heaven pauses for you tonight. This is not coincidence, not chance, not a random scroll through endless words and sounds. This is divine interruption. The Creator of the heavens and the earth has leaned in to speak directly to you. Your name has been whispered in the courts of heaven. The angels have been briefed about your situation. And tonight, the Lord commands a release of protection unlike anything you have felt before. You have wondered if heaven still remembers your name, if your prayers are still heard, if your tears still matter. You have felt invisible to people, but not to God. You've walked through nights where the silence screamed louder than any word. But even then, His eyes never left you. The one who formed you in the secret place has been watching, waiting for this exact moment, this exact night, to wrap you in His divine covering. Listen closely, chosen one. There are moments when time bends, when heaven intervenes to rewrite the atmosphere around you. Tonight is one of those moments. You may not feel ready, but you are chosen. You may not feel holy, but you are marked. You may not feel seen, but heaven is shifting to your defense. Your struggle was never ordinary. Every attack, every betrayal, every delay, it was all proof of the calling that rests upon your life. You were not meant to blend in. You were meant to carry divine distinction, to glow with the light of one who walks under the protection of the Almighty. Even now, as you read this, the presence of the Lord draws near. You can sense that pull in your spirit, the quiet voice saying, "Stay a little longer. Listen. You have walked through storms that could have buried others. You faced rejection that would have broken weaker hearts. But look at you, you're still here, still breathing, still fighting. That alone is evidence that angels have already been guarding you. Every time you should have fallen apart, heaven reinforced your strength. Every time despair tried to drown you, divine hands pulled you back to the surface. As the darkness deepened around you, it wasn't that God abandoned you. It was that He was training your eyes to recognize His light. He was showing you that even in silence, His protection was active. You were never unguarded. The enemy saw your potential before you did and tried to silence it early, but failed. The fact that you are reading this right now is proof that divine protection has never stopped surrounding you. Now heaven speaks again, clearly and unmistakably. The time of silent protection is ending. The time of visible intervention has begun. God is shifting you into a season where angelic presence will be felt, seen, and confirmed. You will have peace where fear once lived, clarity where confusion once ruled, and confidence where doubt once whispered. Beloved, this is the hour of release. The Lord Himself says, "I am commanding my angels concerning you. They will guard you in all your ways. You will sleep tonight not as one abandoned, but as one defended. You will walk into tomorrow not wondering if you're protected, but knowing that heaven's armies march beside you." According to what is revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, "For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways." Do not let doubt whisper otherwise. The same God who parted seas, who shut lions' mouths, who stood in the fire with His faithful ones, is the same God commanding His angels over your life tonight. The same power that sustained Elijah, that lifted Peter out of the storm, that shielded Daniel in the den, that power surrounds you now. This is your moment to align your faith with what heaven is already doing. Lift your heart. Lift your expectation. Heaven does not need your perfection. It asks only for your agreement. Type Amen if your spirit agrees. Comment 777 as a prophetic sign of alignment, symbolizing divine completion and heavenly perfection. Let the act itself become a declaration. I receive the covering of heaven. I walk in the shield of the Almighty. And as you do, know that this moment marks a new chapter. Every force that once opposed you will now face divine resistance. Every attack that once broke through will now collide with angelic defense. You are not alone in this battle, and you never will be again. So tonight, when you close your eyes, rest not in fear, but in faith. You are seen. You are known. You are guarded. The same God who began this good work in you will perfect it. The angels that surround you tonight are not temporary. They are assigned until your mission is complete. Beloved chosen one, heaven has spoken. What God does tonight will unleash angelic protection over you. You only need to believe it. Now, take a deep breath. Lift your head and declare in your heart, I am covered. I am chosen. I am safe beneath the shadow of the Almighty. The silent war around you. Chosen one. The world you see with your eyes is only a fragment of what truly surrounds you. While people look at circumstances, heaven and hell look at purposes. The moment you were born, a war began, not for your possessions, but for your purpose. Every setback, every attack, every sleepless night has been part of a silent war in the unseen realm. The enemy does not waste energy on the ordinary. He reserves his fiercest battles for those carrying extraordinary destinies. And that, beloved, is you. You have felt that invisible pressure pressing on your chest at night, the heaviness in your spirit for no reason, the strange resistance that meets you every time you try to move forward. It is not random. It is warfare. Not all battles are fought with swords. Some are fought with silence, with shadows, with whispers meant to drain your faith. Yet what the enemy does not understand is that you were never designed to fight alone. Heaven has armies, and their assignment is you. There have been nights when the spiritual atmosphere around you thickened, when you sensed that unseen eyes were watching. You were not imagining it. Forces of darkness have been monitoring the chosen ones, hoping to wear them down through discouragement. But tonight, that ends. Heaven has drawn a line in the spirit. The Almighty has said, "This far and no farther." Beloved, you must understand that not every delay is defeat. Sometimes heaven allows the tension so you will learn to recognize the invisible kingdom that fights for you. The pain that tried to destroy you became the signal that activated angelic protection. You have been learning to hear the language of the Spirit, how God speaks, not just through words but through pressure, not just through comfort but through conflict. Do you remember the times you almost gave up when your heart was too tired to pray? Yet someone kept you from falling. That something was not luck, it was divine preservation. The Lord stationed his angels around you even when you could not see them. You were never unguarded. Even in the valley of confusion, the powers of darkness recognize your potential more than you recognize your own. That is why attacks have been so specific, so personal, so relentless. They know if you ever realize who you truly are. Their grip on your family line, your city, your calling, will be broken forever. So they've tried to silence you, to make you doubt your worth, to make you forget your name. But heaven has never forgotten. Your name is still engraved on the palms of God's hands. The angels assigned to you have been patient, watching, waiting for the command. They have seen every injustice, every betrayal, every false accusation. They have watched as the enemy used people, fear, and memories to cage your light. But now the command has gone out from the throne, defend the chosen. And when heaven commands, nothing can resist. In this invisible war, peace is your weapon. When you choose calm in chaos, you disarm the enemy. When you worship instead of worry, you activate heaven's host. The angels move in rhythm with your obedience. Fear freezes them, but faith fuels them. That is why the adversary works so hard to keep you anxious, because he knows faith gives the angels permission to act. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." These are not ancient myths, but living realities. The battle continues in unseen arenas, yet victory is assured for those who walk under divine authority. You are not called to fear the darkness, you are called to expose it. You are light, and where light enters, darkness flees. So, when you feel resistance, do not despair, rejoice. It is proof that your presence threatens the gates of hell. You are a moving declaration that God still works through ordinary vessels to reveal extraordinary glory. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is alive in you. The same authority that silenced storms rests upon your words. You are not weak. You are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Tonight, heaven sharpens your discernment. You will begin to see beyond the surface. You will sense motives, feel atmospheres, recognize spiritual manipulation before it takes root. And when you do, you will stand firm, not with fear, but with the quiet strength of one who knows they are protected. The angels are already surrounding your home, your mind, your heart. They are not imaginary, they are messengers of divine order. Warriors of light dispatched to secure your destiny. Even now, they form a perimeter around you, guarding every path you walk. Take a deep breath. The war is real, but victory is already written. You are covered. The Lord of hosts is your defender. The battle that rages around you is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to reveal that heaven fights for you. Your tears summon the host. Chosen one, heaven has counted every tear you've ever shed. Not one drop of sorrow has fallen unnoticed. While the world may dismiss your pain as weakness, heaven treats it as a sacred language, one that moves angels into motion. The moments you wept in silence, when you whispered prayers no one else heard, became signals that reached the throne of God. Your tears are not wasted, they are weaponized by mercy. When you cried in the dark, the sound of your sobs echoed in the courts of heaven. You thought no one saw you, but the Eternal One leaned in close. Each tear was a message, a petition signed by your suffering and sealed with your faith. And heaven responded. Angels were dispatched, not because of perfect words, but because of genuine pain. You have been calling heaven without knowing it. Your tears have been prayers all along. There are things that can be said only through brokenness, The cry that comes from pain pierces the atmosphere in a way comfort never can. That's why your struggles have carried such spiritual weight. The enemy tried to silence your tears because he knows they provoke divine response. You've endured nights when your heart bled, when your strength gave out, when all you could do was whisper, "Lord, help me." Heaven heard every syllable. The Spirit of God moves closest to those who suffer in silence. He bends low to the wounded, not to pity them, but to empower them. You have carried burdens heavier than words. Yet through it all, grace has carried you. Even when you thought you were drowning, you were being lifted. The unseen hand of God was beneath you the whole time. The world rewards composure, but heaven responds to honesty. You don't need to hide your tears from God. They are proof of your humanity, the language of your soul. The Lord gathers them like treasures in his hands, and the angels record them as prayers of the chosen. There are mysteries hidden in every tear you shed, divine codes written in emotion that only heaven can read. When you cry, the language of angels translates pain into power, and when heaven interprets your tears, it releases instructions into the atmosphere. What once looked like breaking becomes birthing. What felt like loss becomes the signal for breakthrough. The ancient words recorded in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, declare, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Do you realize what that means? Beloved, every heartbreak you endured became part of heaven's documentation of your faith. Your tears are evidence that you never gave up. They testify that even in your weakest moments, you still believed. And now, those tears have become divine currency, heaven's trigger for protection. God has not forgotten the nights you sat alone, wondering if anyone cared. He remembers the words you choked back, the prayers you whispered half believing, the times you wiped your face before anyone could see. The Lord saw. The angels stood by, waiting for the moment they would be released to act. And tonight, heaven moves. The host of God rises because your endurance has spoken louder than any sermon. You may have thought your tears made you fragile, but they made you powerful. They birthed compassion, patience, discernment, qualities that only pain can produce. Your softness is not weakness, it is your divine strength. For only those who have been broken can truly carry the power to heal others. So, tonight, do not be ashamed of your emotion. If tears come again, let them fall freely. Each drop is a reminder that you are alive, that your heart still believes, that your faith still burns. And as they fall, the angels respond once more. You are never alone in your sorrow. The heavens are stirred by compassion, not perfection. And the Lord who sees in secret promises to reward you openly. You may not yet understand how your pain will produce purpose, but you will. Every loss will yield wisdom. Every tear will become a seed for a miracle. Look around you now, the atmosphere is shifting. You may sense a stillness, a peace beginning to replace the heaviness. That's not imagination. That's heaven touching earth. The angels have received the signal, and they stand ready to surround you. God has declared over your life, enough of the pain, enough of the fear. Now begins the restoration. Your story will not end in heartbreak, it will end in holiness. Your mourning will turn into movement, your grief into grace. Those who once pitied you will witness your transformation. The light of God will radiate from your healed places, and those who doubted you will see that your tears were not the end, they were the beginning of divine awakening. Now, as a prophetic act of agreement, write in the comments, "Tears move heaven." Let those 3 words become your declaration, because they do. They always have. Every tear you shed shifts something in the unseen. It calls angels to attention. It moves the heart of God, and it activates divine defense. Say it not as a wish, but as a truth already unfolding. Tears move heaven. Let your comment be a covenant, your faith the seal. Heaven has already answered. When darkness recognizes your name, chosen one, there are moments when the unseen realm trembles, and your name is the reason why. The darkness knows who you are, even when you don't yet fully understand it yourself. You were never a hidden soul drifting through existence. You were born as a marked one, a bearer of divine light. And because of that light, you have attracted both favor and warfare. The struggles you face are not ordinary. They are reactions to your identity. The reason the attacks have been so precise, so unrelenting, is because the adversary recognizes your potential. He saw your name inscribed in heaven's book long before you were aware of it. He knows that your obedience carries weight in the spiritual realm, that your voice can shift atmospheres, and your faith can dismantle strongholds. The enemy doesn't waste energy on those who pose no threat. The intensity of your battle is evidence of your divine assignment. You've probably noticed that peace doesn't come easily to you. The moment you start to rest, something tries to disturb you. Old memories, sudden anxiety, unexplainable pressure. That's not coincidence, it's interference. The darkness senses when you're on the edge of breakthrough. It launches distractions and discouragement to keep you from realizing your authority. Yet what it forgets is this: your name carries weight in heaven. The moment you whisper Jesus, the darkness loses ground. Every chosen one has walked through seasons of spiritual misunderstanding. People may call you intense, overly spiritual, or even dramatic, because they cannot see what's truly happening around you. But heaven sees. The Father watches how you endure what others can't even perceive. You carry a spiritual sensitivity that discerns atmospheres, that feels the tension of invisible wars. That sensitivity is not weakness, it's divine awareness. When the enemy recognized your name, he also recognized his limit. He knows he cannot destroy you, so he tries to distract you. He wants you busy instead of powerful, anxious instead of anointed, self-focused instead of heaven-focused. But God has already placed a seal upon your life, one that darkness cannot touch. You are untouchable under divine command. As the Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn." These words are not mere encouragement, they are law in the Spirit. Heaven enforces them. Every plot, every curse, every slander that has risen against you will return to its sender empty. The moment your name was written in the Lamb's book, divine immunity was established. You might feel the pressure, but you will never be consumed by it. Beloved, understand this truth. The recognition of darkness is actually a confirmation of your rank. The devil doesn't fight what doesn't matter. His attention is proof of your significance. And though it may feel exhausting to always stand against invisible storms, Remember, you were designed for this. The same power that raised Christ from the grave flows through you. You are not the pursued, you are the empowered. When you walk into a room, spiritual atmospheres adjust. Depression, confusion, heaviness, these forces sense your light and begin to retreat. That's why some environments suddenly feel tense when you arrive. Your spirit confronts what others ignore. You are a living reminder that light and darkness cannot coexist. At times, you've wondered why people seem to pull away from you unexpectedly. Why relationships shift without clear reason. Often, it's not them, it's the spirits influencing them, reacting to your anointing. You awaken conviction merely by being present. You carry the fragrance of heaven, and those not aligned with light sense it deeply. You are not meant to chase acceptance. You are meant to embody holiness that transforms others simply by proximity. The darkness may recognize your name, but it also knows its defeat. Each time you pray, light expands. Each time you worship, chains break. Each time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, heaven's frequency grows stronger through you. You are the embodiment of divine resistance. Let the enemy recognize your name. It is a name wrapped in fire. The more you walk in obedience, the brighter your light becomes. And the brighter your light, the fewer shadows can hide near you. Do not be alarmed by the resistance. It's confirmation that you are shining. The Lord has given you spiritual authority not to fear darkness, but to command it. When you speak the truth, when you declare the word, when you live in righteousness, the unseen realm responds. You are a walking decree of heaven. So walk boldly. Chosen one, let your steps echo confidence, not fear. The darkness can recognize your name all it wants, but it cannot rewrite your destiny. It may whisper lies, but heaven's truth speaks louder. You are sealed, defended, and destined for victory. Your name is known in both realms, but in heaven, it is spoken with honor, surrounded by light. Heaven's army mobilizes. Chosen one, the heavens are not still tonight. The very air around you hums with movement unseen to mortal eyes. The armies of heaven are stirring, mighty, ancient, radiant. You have felt the pressure of warfare, but now you will feel the pulse of divine reinforcement. The Lord himself has whispered the command, and angels, armed with light, have taken their positions around you. The time of endurance has turned into the time of empowerment. You are no longer merely surviving attacks. You are being prepared to lead victory. Heaven does not send armies to spectators, it sends them to warriors. And that is what you are becoming, a vessel of command, a carrier of divine authority. Beloved, imagine the unseen world as a great kingdom in motion. Every prayer you whisper is a trumpet note. Every act of faith releases another chariot of fire into the battlefield. When you worship, you strengthen the soldiers of light. When you obey, you open gates in the unseen that allow heaven's forces to descend. You are part of a living strategy, one that stretches beyond time and flesh. The reason you've felt heaviness lately is because heaven has been preparing to move through you. You've been in training without realizing it, learning to hear his voice, to resist distraction, to trust when nothing made sense. That inner stretching was not punishment, it was preparation. The Lord refines his generals before he releases his armies. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 20. Verse 4, For the Lord your God is he who goes with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to give you victory. That victory is not symbolic, it is literal, spiritual, and eternal. Every stronghold trying to suffocate your destiny must release its grip, because heaven has declared your liberation. Beloved, do you sense that quiet stirring in your chest right now? That is not anxiety, it is your spirit awakening to command. Heaven trusts you enough to move through you. You are not a bystander in this divine story. You are an essential line in its unfolding. And while heaven mobilizes, your faith becomes fuel. Every act of generosity, every word of encouragement, every simple gesture of love, these are the currencies of the kingdom. You cannot hold a sword in the spirit without holding compassion in your heart. To give is to mirror heaven, for God himself is the greatest giver. So, when you feel led to support, to build, to sow, whether through sharing this message, subscribing for more, or even donating to keep the light shining, do it as a sacred act. Think of it like adding oil to a lamp that burns through the darkness. Every like, every share, every seed you release becomes part of the illumination that helps others find their way home. You are not funding a voice, you are fueling a movement of light. There's an old truth hidden in the fields of heaven when you plant in faith. Angels tend your harvest. What you give with sincerity returns multiplied in peace and protection. You don't give because you must, you give because your spirit recognizes its own tribe. You share because the same fire that burns within you longs to ignite others. You subscribe not to a channel, but to a calling to remain close to words that keep your spirit alive. Think of this moment like a lighthouse in stormy seas. Each act of engagement, your comment, your generosity, your willingness to spread the message strengthens that beam so it can reach more lost ships. Many out there are still wandering through their night, unaware that heaven fights for them. But through your simple acts of faith, they will find this message. You become part of heaven's communication line, part of the echo of divine love. The angels see your obedience. They record your acts of kindness as worship. When you share, they carry your link through unseen paths. When you give, they open unseen doors. Heaven's system does not forget faithful hearts. Chosen one, you are standing in a sacred exchange between heaven and earth. Your obedience summons light. Your faith funds miracles. Every click, every whisper, every offering becomes a note in heaven's song of deliverance. And so, if this message finds resonance in your spirit, hold it close. Let your engagement be sincere, not forced. Share it with those still in shadow. Support it if you feel led, as an offering of gratitude for what heaven has already done. For when you bless what blesses you, heaven expands your capacity to receive. Remember this truth: you are not giving to man, but partnering with God's movement. Every drop of faith you release becomes a wave in eternity. And through that wave, others will find safety, healing, and light. So lift your heart tonight. Chosen one, the army of heaven stands ready. The angels await your faith's signal. You are not alone, you are surrounded, defended, and deeply loved. Prophetic midnight activation. Chosen one, the midnight hour has always carried mystery. It is the sacred moment between what was and what will be, the time when heaven resets destinies and unseen decrees are released. While the world sleeps, the Spirit of God moves through the stillness, awakening those who are alert in heart. Midnight is not only a time on the clock, it is a spiritual shift, a crossing between endings and beginnings. There is something about this hour that shakes the unseen. Prisons broke at midnight when Paul and Silas sang. Battles turned when Israel prayed through the dark. And tonight, heaven is once again on the move. The angels who were once waiting now march. Their steps are silent, but their presence thunders through eternity. They come bearing assignments, scrolls, and swords of light, drawn to those who are awake and listening. You are one of them, the watchers, the chosen, the ones God trusts with holy awareness. Beloved, do not fear the darkness of this hour. Midnight has never been the enemy's hour, it is God's canvas. The world believes it belongs to shadows, but heaven uses it to reveal light. Every prayer whispered now travels faster. Every word of faith carries greater weight. The Lord moves most powerfully when everything else grows still, because silence makes room for His voice. You may have noticed that your spirit becomes restless at night. You wake for no reason, feeling an invisible pull to pray, to think, to listen. That's not coincidence. It's invitation. Heaven often calls in whispers while the world sleeps. The Father stirs you because He wants to share secrets meant only for His chosen. You are being awakened not by worry, but by destiny. At midnight, spiritual realities bend. Old cycles break. Chains fall. And protection multiplies. It is the hour when the veil between heaven and earth thins, allowing the miraculous to touch the physical. You may not see it, but as you read this, angels are being dispatched. They carry assignments of defense, healing, and restoration. They are encamping around your home, guarding the threshold of your peace. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 29. At midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on the throne to the firstborn of the prisoner who was in the dungeon. In that midnight judgment, deliverance was born. What destroyed Egypt freed Israel. The same God who moved then still moves now. Midnight is not just a dividing line of hours, it is a spiritual sword that cuts away what no longer belongs. What once oppressed you must now release you. The old season ends tonight, and a new one begins. Chosen one. Heaven is watching how you stand in this hour. Will you sleep? Or will you awaken to divine awareness? Will you shrink in fear? Or will you declare your faith, because this is the hour when words become keys? What you speak carries power to open or close doors. If you choose to speak faith, the angels will respond to your voice. They obey the sound of alignment, not emotion. You may feel small, but in the midnight hour, small voices carry far. Heaven hears whispers as thunder when they come from the heart of a chosen one. Even a single word of trust sends ripples through the unseen. When you say, "I believe," the darkness trembles. When you declare, "I am protected," angels move to reinforce that truth. This is why you must guard your words tonight. Do not speak defeat over yourself. Do not rehearse fear. Declare life. Speak victory. Release peace. The atmosphere listens, and heaven amplifies faith. You are not fighting alone, the night itself is becoming your ally. Beloved, something is being rewritten right now. The ink of destiny is still wet. The choices you make in this hour, the words you release, the thoughts you agree with, will echo into your tomorrow. The Father is handing you the pen. Will you sign your agreement with heaven or with fear? Close your eyes for a moment and breathe. Feel that quiet strength filling your chest that is divine energy. Holy fire disguised as calm. You are not merely surviving the night, you are mastering it. The midnight belongs to those who stand with heaven. As you seal this moment, let your spirit respond. Comment 444 below as a prophetic act of alignment. This number carries the rhythm of divine order and angelic movement. It symbolizes that heaven's structure is surrounding you. By typing it, you declare, I am in sync with heaven's timing. I step into divine order. I welcome angelic covering. This is not superstition, it is agreement. You are not performing an act for attention. You are signaling heaven that you are awake and ready. The same God who turned night into deliverance for his people will use this midnight to turn your story toward victory. Rest now in assurance. Let peace wrap around you like a soft mantle. The angels are already near, and the Lord himself walks the corridors of your night. The clock may read 12, but heaven reads complete. Midnight no longer marks fear, it marks fulfillment. The covenant of protection. Chosen one. There are promises in heaven that never expire. Some were spoken long before your birth, sealed in divine ink, waiting for the moment your faith would awaken to claim them. One of these sacred decrees is the covenant of protection, God's unbreakable pledge to defend those who belong to him. It is not a shield made by men, nor a promise dependent on perfection. It is a divine contract, written in love and enforced by angels. When you chose to walk in the light, you entered into something ancient and unshakable. This covenant is older than fear, older than pain, older than every attack that has ever risen against you. It was first spoken when humanity trembled in weakness. Yet God said, I will be your refuge. It was fulfilled in Christ when he stretched his arms wide to cover all who would run beneath his wings. That same covering remains alive over you now. Beloved, you have been carried through storms not because of luck, but because of promise. When others were swallowed by the flood of despair, you floated on unseen strength. When danger whispered near, something unseen diverted its path. The car that didn't crash, the illness that broke but didn't destroy, the anxiety that eased before it crushed you, all of it was evidence of divine covenant in action. The world often calls it coincidence, but heaven calls it protection. Angels have intervened in ways you may never know. They have stood between you and harm. Blocked arrows meant for your mind, softened words meant to wound your spirit. They move according to a code older than time. Defend the chosen. Beloved, do you know why you can walk through fear and not be consumed? Because your covenant covers you like an invisible fortress. The enemy may roar, but he cannot cross the line drawn by divine promise. You are surrounded, not by walls of stone, but by words that cannot be broken. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 91, verse 4, He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. That is more than poetry. It is an exact description of what happens in the unseen. When you step into prayer, His wings overshadow you. When you face danger, His truth rises like armor around you. When fear knocks, His covenant answers. You are covered by the word itself. There will always be moments when your faith wavers, when the noise of life grows loud enough to make you question your safety. But even then, the covenant does not weaken. God does not guard you because you are fearless. He guards you because you are His. You can doubt, cry, even stumble, and still His wings will stretch above you. That is what makes this promise holy. It depends on His nature, not yours. The covenant of protection does not guarantee a life free from storms, but it guarantees survival through them. You may still walk through fire, but the flames cannot consume you. You may still stand in the valley, but you will never walk it alone. Every trial becomes proof that His hand still holds you. Remember the times you should have fallen apart, yet someone kept you standing. That was covenant. Remember when you nearly gave up but couldn't? That was covenant. It has followed you quietly, whispering through sleepless nights, surrounding your steps when you couldn't see the way. Even now, as you read these words, that same covenant is active. It is not a memory or a metaphor, it is alive. It breathes through the presence of the Holy Spirit, moving with every heartbeat. When you feel peace where panic once lived, that's the covenant reminding you you are covered. Beloved, God never forgets a promise. His protection is not seasonal, it is eternal. The moment you said yes to Him, heaven marked you as guarded property. That mark cannot be erased by failure, distance, or fear. You may wander, but you will always be found. You may fall, but you will always be caught. You are not fragile glass waiting to break. You are a fortress wrapped in grace. The same wings that cover you also lift you. The same light that shields you also guides you. You walk through life under divine supervision. Every breath you take is monitored by mercy. Let this truth settle deep within you. Nothing touches you that has not first passed through His permission. If it reached you, it means it can refine you, not destroy you. The fire that touches you has been filtered by His love. So walk boldly, even when shadows stretch long. The covenant stands, the wings remain, and your name is still written beneath them. Your light commands respect. Chosen one, do you know what happens when you walk into a room? The atmosphere shifts, the unseen trembles, the darkness adjusts itself, because it recognizes that something holy just entered its space. You may not see it, but in the spirit realm, your presence glows like fire. You carry light ancient, consecrated, unmistakable. And light does not ask for permission, it simply shines. You've spent years wondering why some people react strangely to you. They misunderstand your silence, question your motives, or pull away without reason. What you did not realize is that your spirit was confronting something inside them. The light in you exposes what others try to hide. You don't even have to speak, your presence speaks for you. Heaven placed authority within your very being, and that authority commands respect from both realms. It is not arrogance to walk confidently, it is obedience to who God made you to be. Humility does not mean shrinking, it means shining without pride, burning without boasting. You were not created to dim yourself so others feel comfortable. You were created to reflect the radiance of heaven in a world that has forgotten its glow. When you walk in truth, your words carry weight beyond sound. They become vibrations that echo through spiritual dimensions. Lies fall silent in your presence. Confusion loses its power. That's why environments change when you arrive, not because of who you are in the natural, but because of who walks with you. You are a carrier of divine presence, a living temple of the Holy Spirit. The adversary recognizes this, which is why he works overtime to make you doubt your worth. He fears your realization more than your potential. As long as you see yourself as small, your light remains dim. But the moment you remember who you are, your illumination multiplies and darkness flees. According to what is revealed in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Jesus did not say, you might be the light. He said, you are. It is not an option, not a future goal. It is your identity. You cannot hide what heaven designed to shine. Even when you try to disappear, your spirit still emits light. People feel your energy even in silence. They sense conviction, peace, or agitation, depending on what resides within them. This is why isolation has followed you. God often hides his brightest lamps until the appointed time, allowing them to develop quietly before placing them on display. You've mistaken hiddenness for rejection, but it was really preservation. The Lord has been polishing your flame, ensuring that when you shine, you won't burn out. Beloved, light does not compete. It simply reveals. You don't need to compare your brightness with anyone else's. Every chosen one carries a unique wavelength of glory. Yours may be gentler, steadier, deeper, but it is equally vital. The world doesn't need copies of brilliance. It needs your exact tone of radiance. You have walked through shadows not because you were abandoned, but because God was teaching you how to recognize your glow in the dark. If you only knew light, you would never understand its value. Only those who have stood in darkness truly appreciate illumination. You have been trained by contrast. Now, wherever you go, the darkness knows you. Demonic forces avoid your path not because you are intimidating in yourself, but because you carry the signature of the Almighty. Heaven's seal burns upon you, invisible yet undeniable. It announces, do not touch, this one belongs to the King. That is why your boundaries have become spiritual borders. What others can tolerate, you cannot. What others play with, you discern as dangerous. It's not because you're rigid, it's because your light requires purity to shine at full strength. Holiness is not restriction, it is oxygen for your fire. And when that fire burns clean, even the unseen respects it. The same angels that surround the throne walk beside you. The same light that shone through Christ now shines through you. You have become a mirror of heaven's beauty, a reflection of the divine. So never underestimate your presence. When you walk into dark places, homes heavy with tension, hearts filled with grief, workplaces clouded by confusion, you bring illumination, you bring calm, you bring perspective, you bring hope. Even your silence can heal, because your spirit carries peace that passes understanding. Let the darkness recognize your name, it only proves your identity. Let it tremble, that is its rightful response. You were born to disturb the works of evil simply by existing. Wherever you go, Light travels with you, wrapping the atmosphere in divine glow. Chosen one. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. You don't need validation from those still blinded. Heaven already honors you. All that's left is to live boldly, to let your light command the respect it already deserves. You are not just in the world, you are heaven's illumination upon it. The shield of obedience. Chosen one. There are many who pray for protection, but forget the doorway through which it flows obedience. Heaven does not release its full covering over rebellion, it moves through surrender. Every time you say yes to God, even in the smallest thing, a layer of invisible armor forms around your life. Obedience is not just submission, it is strategy. It is how the chosen survive the storms that destroy others. You have noticed that when you walk in alignment, peace surrounds you. But when you delay, when you compromise, something shifts, clarity fades, heaviness grows, confusion enters. That is not punishment, it is the absence of alignment. The Lord does not withdraw to wound you, but to remind you that peace lives inside obedience. He calls you not to control you, but to cover you. Every divine instruction carries protection hidden within it. When Noah obeyed, he built an ark before the rain began. When Abraham obeyed, a nation was born. When Moses obeyed, plagues passed over the faithful. And when Jesus obeyed, the grave lost its power forever. Heaven's shield is activated through the act of surrender. Obedience may look small, closing your mouth when anger burns, walking away when temptation whispers, praying when you'd rather complain, but each act echoes through eternity. The unseen responds. Angels record your yes as authorization to move on your behalf. Your obedience gives heaven legal ground to intervene. You may not always understand why God tells you to stop, to wait, to speak, or to move. Yet in hindsight, you always see the wisdom. Sometimes He redirects you from danger you could not perceive. Sometimes He delays a door because the room behind it is not yet safe. Trust that every divine delay is protection, wearing patience as disguise. The world calls obedience restriction, but heaven calls it armor. The humble heart is the hardest target for the enemy to hit. Pride attracts attacks, but submission deflects them. Each time you surrender your will, you place yourself under the shadow of divine authority. And no shadow of evil can remain where light reigns, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the first book of Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. That verse cuts through all pretense. It means that outward offerings mean little if the heart resists divine command. God is not impressed by noise, He is moved by obedience. He is not swayed by performance, He is drawn by trust. Your quiet yes in the dark weighs more than 1,000 loud declarations. Beloved, you have faced many battles because obedience has never been easy. Sometimes your obedience has cost relationships, comfort, opportunities. Yet every cost was a seed that produced protection. Each time you lost something for the sake of truth, heaven built something indestructible around you. What you surrendered did not vanish, it transformed into strength. The enemy tries to convince you that obedience will break you. But in reality, disobedience drains you. It strips your peace, confuses your path, and silences your authority. But once you return to obedience, Your strength flows again like water through unclogged rivers. Obedience is the rhythm of heaven. It keeps you in tune with divine movement. You may not realize it, but your obedience has protected others. 2. When you pray, when you refuse to compromise, when you walk away from darkness, ripples move outward. Families are spared. Atmospheres are cleansed. Futures are redirected. The shield that covers you extends beyond your own life. Beloved chosen one, this is why the enemy tempts you so persistently. It's not just about your downfall, but about breaking the chain of protection flowing through you to others. Every compromise weakens a wall. Every obedience rebuilds it. You are not fighting for yourself alone. You are holding ground for generations. Remember, even when obedience feels painful, it always ends in peace. God never demands something without preparing restoration. The road of surrender may look narrow, but it leads to spacious places. The weight you feel now is training your spirit to carry greater authority later. So pause and look at your life. How many times did you follow that quiet nudge in your heart and later realize it saved you? How many times did you walk away from something that looked good, only to discover danger beneath it? That was not instinct, it was obedience, disguised as intuition. When you obey, you move in rhythm with heaven's breath. Every step you take in faith echoes as music in the unseen, and angels march in time with your trust. You are never more protected than when you are obedient. Now, as a prophetic declaration, write in the comments, I choose obedience. Let those 3 words seal your alignment with heaven. They are not mere words, they are permission for God to act, to cover, to direct. When you type them, you're saying, Lord, I trust your timing. I trust your ways. I choose your shield over my own understanding. And heaven will respond. Peace will follow. Doors will open. The invisible shield will thicken around you. Because obedience, beloved, is not the end of freedom, it is the beginning of divine safety. Winds of warning and mercy. Chosen one, there are times when the air itself begins to whisper. The winds change not with weather, but with meaning. Heaven often speaks through what moves around you. Sudden shifts, closed doors, unexpected peace, or uneasy silence. These are not random, they are language. God uses the winds to warn and to comfort, to turn your head toward what you would otherwise overlook. The same wind that parted the Red Sea also carried manna from heaven. The same breath that scattered the wicked brought life to dry bones. Winds are instruments of both judgment and mercy. And right now, a divine wind moves across your life, clearing away what no longer belongs and carrying in what has been delayed. You may have felt it lately, the subtle unease when standing in certain places, or a deep calm in others. You may have sensed relationships shifting, plans stalling, or opportunities changing direction. That's not rejection, it's redirection. The Spirit of God is repositioning you, preparing you for a season of deeper protection. Sometimes, before heaven blesses, it must first remove what blocks the blessing. Beloved, never ignore the spiritual breeze. When God begins to stir the air around you, He is signaling that something unseen is about to unfold. Winds carry messages. They move slowly at first, almost gentle, then suddenly strong enough to shift everything. Pay attention to them. They are heaven's way of guiding those who can discern. The prophet Elijah once stood on a mountain and waited for the voice of God. It didn't come through earthquake or fire, but through a whisper carried on the wind. In the same way, the Lord is speaking to you, not through noise, but through subtle movement. He's saying, "Be still. Watch. Trust me." When the winds of change rise, don't resist them. Lean into their rhythm. Even when they scatter what feels familiar, they are carrying the seeds of your next season. What feels like loss today is simply God clearing the soil for new beginnings to grow strong roots. Sometimes the gentlest breeze is the loudest message. It brushes past your worries, tugging at your heart to remind you that heaven is still near. Let every shift in the air remind you that the unseen hand of God is always moving, always arranging, always protecting your path. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 3, "His glory covered the heavens, and his praise filled the earth. His splendor was like the sunrise, rays flashed from his hand, where his power was hidden." These rays, these invisible extensions of his power, are moving through the winds even now. They go where you cannot go, fight battles you cannot see, and prepare answers you haven't yet imagined. The wind that feels unsettling now will soon reveal itself as the very breath that carried your breakthrough. Beloved chosen one, heaven's winds also respond to gratitude. When you breathe out praise, you exhale faith into the atmosphere, and heaven inhales it as worship. That is why generosity, whether through love, through prayer, through giving, always draws divine motion. When you release, heaven releases back. It is the cycle of holy wind. What leaves your hand returns multiplied through unseen currents. Think of this space, this message, as a sail in that sacred wind. Every time you share it, you help the wind reach new shores. Every time you like or comment, you lift the sail higher, allowing the breeze to carry hope farther. And when you support, when you choose to donate or subscribe, you become a builder of vessels that transport God's word through digital oceans. It isn't about numbers, it's about flow. The Spirit moves through streams of connection, and your small act becomes part of something vast, like a lighthouse built by many hands. Your involvement becomes a beam that pierces through storms to reach those still lost in their night. If you've ever seen a field of wheat bending under the wind, you've witnessed surrender in motion. That is what generosity looks like in the kingdom. It is the graceful bending of the heart toward purpose. Every seed you sow is lifted by that same breath, carried to places you may never see. But heaven does. Your offering, your engagement, your willingness to share, it's not just activity, it's worship, it's agreement. When you help keep the flame burning here, you're fanning the winds of mercy that move through every listener's life. Someone's answer, someone's healing, someone's return to faith may travel through the very wind you've helped stir. Beloved, the Father sees sincerity. He blesses those who give with joy, those who support with faith, those who help spread His word with love. When you give from your spirit, you become like the wind itself, quiet, unseen, but carrying power that changes the world. So let your actions become your prayer. Let your kindness become your offering. If this message has touched your heart, share it as wind shares fragrance freely, gently, without force. Subscribe as one who chooses to stay under this flow of light. Support, if you feel led. as one planting trees whose shade others will one day rest beneath. Because in heaven's economy, no act of faith is ever forgotten. The same wind that carries your seed returns as a breeze of blessing. And through that cycle, the world breathes again. Chosen one, the winds are speaking tonight. Some carry warning, others mercy, but all carry love. Pay attention to what moves around you, for within the breeze, heaven whispers, you are not forgotten. You are being guided. You are protected by my breath itself. The hidden angels beside you. Chosen one. There are companions walking beside you who do not wear flesh. They move silently, unseen yet fully present. Their footsteps match yours. Their eyes never leave you. These are the hidden angels, heaven's sentinels, assigned to your life. They have been with you since birth, moving through the unseen paths of your story, keeping you from dangers you never realized were near. When you were a child, there were accidents that never happened, illnesses that didn't last, wrong turns that suddenly corrected themselves. You thought it was coincidence, but heaven knows better. Angels have been intercepting what was never meant to reach you. They are masters of quiet intervention. They do not announce themselves, they simply act. There are moments you felt sudden peace in chaos, strength in weakness, or inexplicable calm when fear should have ruled. That was not luck, it was presence. An angel had drawn near, covering you with invisible wings. You may have felt a warmth on your skin, a chill that wasn't cold, or an urge to look over your shoulder without fear. That was the realm of heaven brushing against your reality. The angels assigned to you have watched every chapter of your life unfold. They rejoiced at your first breath, guarded you through your rebellion, and wept through your pain. They are not mere observers, they are participants in your redemption story. They are witnesses of grace in motion, ministers of mercy that carry out the will of God concerning you. You do not have to see them to believe. You see their work every day in the protection you can't explain, in the near misses, in the comfort that finds you at impossible moments. They stand guard like silent sentinels at the edge of every decision, ensuring that no scheme of darkness succeeds. It was proclaimed in the second book of Kings, chapter 6, verse 17, and Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. That vision was not only for a prophet's servant, it was written for you. There are hills of fire around your life too. The same unseen army surrounds your home, your steps, your future. You are never alone, even when loneliness whispers otherwise. Every chosen one walks in a circle of invisible brilliance. At times, heaven allows you to sense this companionship, a sudden knowing that you are not by yourself, an unexpected lightness when you should be heavy. Angels comfort without words. They remind you that divine attention never leaves you, even when you fall. They do not abandon you. They wait patiently for the command to lift you again. They have stood near you when you cried, when you shouted in frustration, when you sat silent in numbness. They have heard every word. Yet they do not judge, they only protect. They exist for that purpose, to guard the chosen until their mission is fulfilled. Beloved, you have walked into rooms heavy with oppression and felt uneasy without knowing why. That was your spirit detecting unseen conflict, and your angels stood ready to intervene. They are soldiers, not symbols. Their wings are not decoration, they are shields. When the darkness rises, they draw their swords. Sometimes their intervention feels like interruption, a delay in plans, a sudden stop, an unexpected detour. But these are not obstacles, they are defenses. They move you away from harm before you can see it. They block paths that lead to loss. They whisper through intuition and rearrange circumstances with precision. Even as you sleep, they stand guard. They surround your bed like an invisible fortress. They monitor the thresholds of your home, the roads you travel, the people you meet. Nothing reaches you without first passing their station. And above them all stands the one who commands their every move, the Lord of hosts, your ultimate protector. You may think heaven is silent, but the unseen realm is rarely still. It hums with motion, filled with angels ascending and descending like living flames. They carry your prayers upward and bring answers downward. They strengthen you when you can't pray, defend you when you can't fight, and shield you when you don't even realize danger is near. And yet, these angels are not worshipped, they serve the one who loves you. They bow to his name, and at his word, they fly to your side. You are covered not because you earned it, but because mercy assigned them to you. Sometimes, when grief or fear blinds you, ask for eyes like Elisha's servant to see even a glimpse of the chariots that stand ready. You might not see literal fire, but you will feel assurance, a knowing that cannot be shaken. You'll sense that heaven has already built walls around you that no force of darkness can climb. Beloved chosen one, if you could see what surrounds you, you would never again feel abandoned. The road you walk is lined with light. Every shadow that dares to approach you must answer to flame. So walk calmly, breathe deeply, and rest securely. The hidden angels beside you are not myths, they are manifestations of God's unwavering love. Surrounding you always, the night watchers awaken. Chosen one, as the world grows quiet, heaven grows active. When the last lamps dim and even the restless grow still, a sacred shift begins. The night is not only a time for sleep, it is a sanctuary for revelation. The Spirit walks through the silence, listening for hearts that remain awake, for voices that whisper prayers when no one else is watching. You, beloved, are among those watchers. There are souls called to carry the fire of intercession through the darkness. They are heaven's night guards, ordinary in the eyes of men, yet extraordinary in the sight of God. They rise in the hours when fear prowls, when hope seems faint, and they speak light into existence. The Lord trusts them to stand on behalf of others who cannot yet stand for themselves. You are one of them. You have been awakened by divine intention, not restlessness. Perhaps you've wondered why you often wake in the early hours. Heart alert, mind stirring. It isn't anxiety, it's a summons. Heaven whispers your name through the stillness, calling you to stand in the gap. The same angels who guard nations listen for the voices of the watchers. When you pray at midnight, your words do not fade, they ignite. They join a chorus of unseen warriors declaring victory over despair, light over darkness. The night may seem lonely, but it is filled with motion. The angels move in quiet patterns, carrying assignments between realms. Heaven's watchers, those who stay spiritually awake, cooperate with them, speaking God's will into the atmosphere. The darkness is not stronger at night, it only feels louder. But light whispered by faith travels farther in silence than shouts in the crowd. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 37, "Blessed are those servants whom the master finds watching when he comes. Truly I tell you, he will dress himself to serve. Have them recline at the table, and will come and wait on them." These words are a promise for the faithful who refuse to sleep through destiny. To watch in the night is not a burden, it is a privilege. When others rest, you stand. When others fear, you listen. And heaven records every moment you remain awake for the sake of love. The Lord never forgets his watchers. Every whispered prayer becomes oil stored in heavenly lamps. There will come a day when that oil will light nations. What you do in silence today will echo loudly in tomorrow's awakening. Your midnight obedience sustains daylight miracles. The night watchers are not limited by geography or language. They are a scattered army connected through the Spirit. Somewhere across the world, another soul kneels even as you read this. Together, you form a network of fire, individual flames burning in distant rooms, yet united in purpose. The angels move among you, carrying the warmth of your prayers to those in despair. Beloved, understand this: every act of faith in the night shakes darkness across the earth. Every declaration of truth at midnight shifts the timeline of dawn. You are not praying into emptiness, you are building unseen architecture. Walls of mercy rise. Gates of protection form. Destinies align. Heaven's construction continues long after your eyes grow tired. At times, your intercession may feel unnoticed, your whispers too small to matter. But in heaven's archive, there is no small obedience. The faintest prayer from a pure heart carries more power than storms. You may never meet the lives you've saved through unseen prayer, but one day, eternity will reveal them. The watcher's reward is peace. The moment you intercede, the Lord breathes that same peace back into your heart. You pour out on behalf of others, and he fills you again, ensuring that you never burn out. That's why, even after nights of little sleep, you wake with strange strength. You have been in the company of angels, strengthened by their song. Beloved, this calling is holy. Do not resent the wakefulness, it is evidence of trust. Heaven would not wake you if you could not carry the weight. You are being trained to listen, to discern, to speak with precision. Each night molds you into a vessel of greater authority. And tonight, heaven acknowledges your faithfulness. The watchers are awakening all over the world, sensing the same stirring. The night has never been darker, but it has never held more light. You are part of that light, an eternal ember glowing through the ages. As a sign of alignment, comment 555 below. This number symbolizes divine grace, multiplied favor upon favor, strength upon strength, light upon light. By typing it, you declare, Lord, I accept my calling as a watcher. Let my light remain steady through the night. Do it not as ritual, but as recognition. Heaven reads intention, not volume. Let your comment become a signal in the spirit, a pulse of faith that tells the angels, I'm awake, I'm ready, I will stand my watch. And as you do, feel the stillness shift around you. The air thickens with presence. The night becomes holy ground. For those who remain awake in faith will always find that God is nearest when the world is asleep. You are the breaker generation. Chosen one. There are generations behind you that prayed for what you are now carrying. They wept for freedom, cried for deliverance, longed for transformation, and heaven answered them through your life. You are not simply an individual in time, you are a turning point in eternity. The weight you feel, the resistance that follows you, the strange mix of calling and warfare, all of it confirms that you are the breaker in your bloodline. Every family line has cycles, patterns that repeat like seasons: fear, poverty, rejection, anger, unbelief. And when God decides it's time to end those patterns, He doesn't send an army, He sends a person, someone sensitive enough to hear, strong enough to endure, brave enough to obey. That person is you. The attacks that intensified around you were never personal, they were generational. Darkness recognized the one anointed to stop what has continued for centuries. Beloved, this is why your life has never been easy. You have faced storms that others in your family could not handle. You've carried burdens that didn't start with you, but will end with you. Heaven marked you to be the final stop of generational pain. Through your obedience, a new order is being written. The same Spirit that raised Christ is working through your lineage to rewrite its story. Heaven speaks through the book of Micah. Chapter 2, verse 13. The one who breaks open the way will go up before them. They will break through the gate and go out. Their king will pass through before them, the Lord at their head. That verse is your identity in writing. You are the one breaking open the way. What was closed for those before you will be open for those after you. The locked gates of limitation will yield to your persistence. You are not here to repeat history, you are here to rebuild it. This is why your warfare feels constant. Breakers attract resistance. Every step forward disrupts patterns in the spirit. But do not mistake the shaking for failure, it is the sound of chains snapping. You have been chosen to confront what others ignored, to expose what others normalized. You are heaven's rebellion against hell's repetition. Think about it, you have survived storms that were meant to silence you. You have healed from wounds that destroyed others. You have found faith in places where faith should have died. That resilience is not natural, it is supernatural. It is the signature of a breaker. You are the fulfillment of prayers whispered long ago by those who could not see this day, but believed it would come. Beloved, your life may feel like contradiction, light and darkness colliding, peace and warfare interwoven. But that's the hallmark of transformation. You are standing at the junction where old and new meet. Heaven has placed its hammer in your hands, not to destroy, but to rebuild. Every act of forgiveness, every decision to love, every refusal to repeat the same mistakes, each one is a strike that reshapes the foundation beneath your lineage. You are rewriting spiritual DNA. The curses that once ran through your blood are being purified by your obedience. The patterns that trapped your parents will not capture your children. The words spoken against your name will lose their echo. You are the bridge between what was broken and what will be blessed. Beloved, understand that breakers often walk alone. The path you walk cannot be understood by those still comfortable in the cycle. Loneliness is part of the assignment, not punishment. God separates you so He can sanctify you. You may cry through the night, but every tear you shed waters the soil of new beginnings. There is a strength rising within you that does not come from striving, it comes from surrender. You do not have to force this change, you only have to agree with it. Heaven does the breaking through you. When you yield, The light flows freely. When you resist, the process delays. The angels assigned to your lineage are already at work, dismantling altars built in ignorance, cleansing agreements made in darkness. They move through your prayers, your repentance, your declarations. Each time you speak truth over your bloodline, you build an altar of light. You are a priest of restoration, standing on ground that once held despair. Do not fear the shaking. When God rebuilds a foundation, the ground must first break. You may feel life tearing apart, but it's really tearing open. The pressure is birthing purpose. The rubble of the old will soon become the bricks of the new. Chosen one. Your generation will know peace because you refuse to quit. Your children will know freedom because you chose obedience. Your family will know blessing because you chose holiness. You are the hinge on which destiny turns the bridge that connects suffering to salvation. Heaven honors you. Even when the earth misunderstands you, the spiritual realm recognizes your name, not because of fame, but because of faith. You have declared war on patterns of darkness simply by standing firm in the light. And every step you take forward becomes an inheritance for those who follow. You are not the end of your bloodline's pain, you are the beginning of its healing. The breaker's anointing rests upon you. And when you rise, everything tied to you will rise too. Heaven marks your territory. Chosen one. Wherever you walk, the unseen kingdom pays attention. The ground beneath your feet is not ordinary soil, it is land that responds to the presence of the anointed. You may not see it, but heaven has been quietly expanding your borders, marking the invisible perimeter of your protection and purpose. Your territory is not limited to geography. It extends to everything under your care, your home, your work, your relationships, your peace. From the beginning, God has been a God of boundaries. He separated light from darkness, land from sea, day from night, establishing order through division. The same divine hand that carved rivers through the earth has traced invisible lines around your life. Those lines are sacred. They define what belongs to you and what must never cross without permission. You have noticed certain disruptions, unexpected losses, sudden shifts, strange opposition. These are not random, they are tests of territory. The enemy always tries to trespass first in subtle ways, whispering lies, sowing confusion, stirring restlessness. But heaven allows this so that you may rise and reaffirm your authority. You are not a helpless wanderer, you are a steward of holy ground. When you stand firm in faith, the borders strengthen. Beloved, think back to moments when peace suddenly returned after prayer, when tension dissolved after you took a stand in truth. That was heaven reinforcing your boundary. Angels move like unseen sentinels, patrolling the edges of your spiritual territory. Nothing enters without permission, no word spoken against you, no curse uttered in secret can pass the line drawn by divine authority. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 12, set bounds for the people all around, saying, "Take heed to yourselves that you do not go up to the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death." Linus, even at Sinai, God established separation between what was holy and what was not. In the same way, heaven sets apart the ground you occupy. The presence you carry consecrates space where you dwell. Darkness cannot remain comfortable. You bring sanctification with your footsteps. There are people who enter your life and feel inexplicable unease. It's because your territory is marked. The peace you carry exposes what is chaotic in them. It's not rejection, it's revelation. They are confronted by the difference between light and shadow. You do not need to explain it. You only need to remain grounded in grace. Beloved, your words are walls. Every time you declare the truth of God over your space, your home, your children, your plans, you are reinforcing divine structure. When you speak with faith, you are not merely describing reality, you are building it. Heaven listens to the language of authority. What you bless becomes protected. What you release becomes fruitful. You are learning to discern the difference between territory and attachment. Not every connection deserves access to your space. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are clarity. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowds to guard his focus. You, too, must protect the sacred atmosphere of your assignment. Guard your peace as you would guard a flame in the wind. There will be times when God will ask you to let go of certain people or places. It will hurt, but it is part of territorial refinement. Every level of growth demands a stronger perimeter. When the vineyard expands, new fences must be built. The pruning is not punishment, it's preservation. The ground you are standing on has stories written in it. Every prayer you've prayed there, every tear you've shed, every praise you've lifted, they have soaked into the soil. Heaven has recorded that land as covenant ground. Wherever you worship, that place becomes a sanctuary. Even your home can become a holy embassy, a meeting point between heaven and earth. And the day will come when those who mocked your obedience will walk into your space and feel peace they cannot explain. They will sense safety and light, because your territory has become an altar through you. God is reclaiming spaces once polluted by fear, anger, or despair. Beloved chosen one, you are not just occupying land, you are consecrating it. You are not just passing through, you are planting flags of holiness wherever you go. Your prayers are stakes in the ground, your worship is the fragrance that sanctifies it. So stand tall, knowing that heaven has drawn its line around you. The storms may come, but they cannot cross the border. The darkness may whisper, but it cannot enter. You are surrounded, shielded, and secure. The air within your territory belongs to God. Every breath you take is evidence of His dominion. Walk with quiet confidence, for wherever your feet touch, heaven claims, you are not small, you are not unprotected, you are marked, your life, your space, your path, all sealed with the authority of the Almighty. Call to the chosen remnant, chosen one. You are not standing alone across the earth. There are others like you, quiet souls, carrying holy fire, unseen by crowds but fully known by heaven. Together, you are the remnant, those who refuse to bow to fear, who carry purity through corruption, who keep their lamps burning even when the world laughs at the light. The Lord has always preserved a remnant, a small company of hearts set apart for His glory. And now, the trumpet sounds for you to rise and recognize each other. You may never meet them all, yet your spirits are connected. Every time you pray, you strengthen another. Every time you speak truth, you fortify their courage. The body of Christ is not a structure of bricks, but a network of souls who hear the same heartbeat of heaven. You are part of that pulse. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 11, verse 5, still echo today. So too, at the present time, there is a remnant chosen by grace. That grace has chosen you, not by merit, not by talent, but by divine decision. God saw your endurance when no one clapped. He saw your tears behind the curtain, your faith when hope ran thin. He whispered, "You will stand when others fall. You will remain when others scatter." You are part of heaven's strategy for this generation, a living testimony that faith still breathes on the earth. Beloved, when the world grows colder, the remnant burns brighter. But even fire needs air to breathe. That is why community matters. When you share these messages, when you comment and add your voice, you are blowing oxygen into the flame. Every interaction, every word of agreement, strengthens the reach of this light. Think of it like building a lighthouse along a dark coast. One stone means little, but many together create a tower that saves lives. Every like, every share, every comment is a stone in that tower. Your involvement is not vanity, it is ministry. You are helping guide weary hearts back to shore. And when you choose to subscribe or donate, you are not supporting a screen, you are fueling a mission. You are giving the flame room to travel, ensuring that messages of truth, hope, and protection continue to reach those drowning in silence. Imagine it as planting seeds across digital soil. Each act of generosity becomes a tree under which someone will one day rest. This is not about numbers, it is about nourishment. When you feed into light, you starve the darkness. Every contribution, whether a moment of engagement or an offering of support, is a ripple that expands the circle of grace. Heaven measures not the size of the gift, but the sincerity of the heart. Beloved, when you engage here, you are building what Scripture calls an altar of remembrance. In ancient days, people stacked stones where God met them, so that future generations could see and believe. In the same way, your comment, your presence, your act of faith becomes part of a digital altar where others will encounter God's voice. Some may say it's just a platform, but heaven sees it as a vessel, a ship sailing through turbulent waters, carrying light from one shore to another. And you, chosen one, are both crew and passenger. Your support keeps this vessel moving. When you share, you hoist the sails. When you donate, you fuel the engine. When you subscribe, you stay on board, ensuring the journey continues. Think of how many hearts drift nightly in storms of confusion, scrolling through endless noise, waiting to stumble upon a word that feels like home. It's your engagement that helps them find it. Each simple act of faith is a beacon in the digital fog. You have no idea how far your ripple travels. The comment you write today might reach a weary soul tomorrow in another language, another country, another night. That's how heaven works, quietly, efficiently, divinely. So be part of the remnant that builds rather than criticizes, that gives rather than hoards, that shines rather than hides. There are many voices in the world, but few that carry heaven's frequency. When you find it, nurture it, help it grow. Beloved, your involvement is more than support, it's partnership. Every person who joins, who comments, who shares becomes part of the living wall of light God is raising across the earth. Together, we become the hands that steady others, the voices that echo encouragement, the lights that guide wanderers home. And when this message ends, let your reflection continue. Write in the comments something from your heart, a word, a testimony, a thought that could strengthen another. Let your voice become part of the remnant's roar, the sound that reminds the earth that faith still speaks. Remember, you are not just an audience, you are an army. And every movement, every act of engagement, every heartbeat of generosity adds to the strength of that army. The world may never know your name, but heaven does. Chosen one, lift your light high. Keep it burning. For every flicker you sustain, heaven multiplies into thousands. And through your obedience, the remnant rises stronger than ever before. When angels war for you, chosen one, there are battles you never see, fights that rage, not in the open, but in the atmosphere surrounding your life. The air itself has carried tension, unseen collisions between light and darkness. Yet, through every unseen clash, you have remained standing. That is not chance. That is intercession. That is angels warring for you. You have felt the effects, the sudden heaviness that comes from nowhere, the confusion that clouds your thoughts, the fatigue that sleep cannot cure. These are not merely emotions, they are ripples from invisible wars fought on your behalf. Heaven has been defending what you could not defend yourself. Every time you whispered a prayer too tired to finish, angels completed it for you. Every sigh of surrender became their trumpet call. There are moments in your story that don't make sense, times when destruction should have reached you but stopped short, when loss turned to lesson, when the weapon formed but failed. That is angelic intervention. They do not boast of their victories, yet their fingerprints are everywhere in your peace, your resilience, your survival. The angels that fight for you are not fragile figures of art. They are forces of creation, beings of unyielding light, forged for war. They carry the authority of the one who sent them. When darkness approaches, they don't negotiate. They enforce divine law. They draw flaming swords against deception, surround your home like firewalls of holiness, and echo the words God has spoken over your destiny. Not this one. This one belongs to the King. Beloved, you have never been unguarded. Heaven does not leave its chosen uncovered. Even when you felt abandoned, the unseen army was standing at your back. You cried, "Where are you?" God, not realizing he had already sent reinforcements before you asked. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Daniel. Chapter 10, verse 13. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, because I was detained there with the king of Persia. Even Daniel's prayers were met with resistance. The delay was not denial, it was warfare. The same principle applies to you. When your answer takes time, it is because angels are contending for it in the invisible realm. Every promise you hold dear is a contested treasure. Yet heaven never retreats. The battle is fierce because your destiny is valuable. Sometimes you feel the tension without knowing why. You wake in the night sensing conflict, though your room is quiet. That's because your spirit is aware of what your eyes cannot see. Do not be afraid that awareness is grace. God lets you sense the battle so that you can align your heart in faith. Even a whisper of thank you. Lord becomes strength to your defenders. Beloved, the angels do not act apart from you. They move in rhythm with your obedience. Your worship empowers them. Your faith sharpens their swords. When you speak truth, you give them language to strike with. When you forgive, you remove barriers that block their movement. You and heaven's host are co-laborers in divine victory. At times, the Lord will allow pressure to rise around you, not to harm you, but to reveal your authority. He wants you to see that the battle's outcome has already been written. The angels do not fight hoping to win. They fight to demonstrate that the victory is already secured. Every clash in the unseen is a replay of a triumph decided long ago on the cross. If you could hear the sound right now, the clash of wings, the roar of spiritual winds, the shattering of darkness, you would never again doubt your worth. Heaven does not waste power on the insignificant. The scale of warfare surrounding you reveals the magnitude of your purpose. Sometimes, when fear creeps in, you'll feel warmth spreading through your chest, a peace that seems to come from nowhere. That's not your imagination, that's the residue of victory. An angel has just passed by. The air around you carries the afterglow of a won battle. You may never see them, but they move constantly around your home, your workplace, your dreams. When you walk, they flank you. When you drive, they ride beside you. When you rest, they stand guard at your doors. They are relentless, tireless, faithful. So, when you sense chaos swirling, do not despair. When everything shakes, remember who is shaking it. Sometimes heaven stirs the dust to reveal its defenders. You are never the target of the storm. You are the purpose of its protection. Chosen one. The war is real, but the victory is closer than you think. The angels who fought for prophets and kings now fight for you. The same sword that silenced empires guards your peace tonight. You are not fragile, you are fortified. Walk forward now. Not in fear, but in quiet authority. The war is being won even as you breathe. And when the dawn comes, you will see the results of battles you never fought, but still won, because heaven fought for you. Crowned by light, eternal. Chosen one. Dawn is approaching. The long night that stretched across your soul begins to thin, and the horizon glows with something more than sunlight. It is the reflection of glory. You have endured. You have stood. You have walked through valleys, shadowed by fear, and climbed mountains, scarred by battle. And now heaven responds. The storm quiets. The wind bows. And the angels who warred for you now stand in reverent stillness. You are crowned. The crown is not metal or jeweled, it is radiance. It is the mark of one who has carried fire through darkness without letting it die. You may not feel worthy, but worthiness was never the requirement. Faithfulness was. You remained when others retreated. You chose purity when compromise would have been easier. You carried the weight of obedience when it hurt to stand. Heaven does not forget such things. The Lord himself bends low to place light upon your head, and it will not fade. It is not a symbol for others to admire, but a seal for the unseen to recognize. This light identifies you as one who belongs to the kingdom of unshakable things. You are no longer merely surviving, you are radiating. The apostle reminds us in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. That promise is not distant, it begins now. The crown of righteousness is the peace that rests upon those who endure. It is the quiet authority of one who has walked with God long enough to trust his timing. The brightness you sense in your spirit is not emotion, it is inheritance. Heaven is clothing you in what you have earned through endurance. Every test you passed, every temptation you resisted, every unseen act of kindness has been woven into this crown. It is made of moments no one witnessed, of prayers whispered in solitude, of choices made in silence. It gleams with the reflections of nights when you said, "Still, I will praise you," though tears blurred your vision. Beloved, this light upon you does more than honor, it transforms. It reaches through your words, your gaze, your presence. Those who encounter you will feel it before they understand it. You will speak peace, and storms will settle. You will enter rooms, and heaviness will lift. This is not charisma, it is consecration. The crown is not worn for beauty, but for burden, the holy burden of representing heaven in a wounded world. This is what all the struggle was for. Every loss, every delay, every unanswered question was preparing your heart to carry light without arrogance and power without pride. You could not have been trusted with glory without the breaking that preceded it. You were refined so that the crown would rest on humility, not ambition. Now, the Lord expands your capacity. The light on your life is not static, it grows. The more you serve, the brighter it burns. The more you forgive, the wider it spreads. It will not fade with age, it will only deepen. For this light is eternal. It comes from the uncreated fire of God himself. The angels stand as witnesses to your coronation. They know what it cost you to reach this moment. They remember every command they received concerning you, every battle fought in the unseen to preserve your destiny. And now they rejoice, not with noise, but with reverent awe. The mission to protect you was worth it. For now you shine as one of heaven's own. You are not crowned because the world applauded. You are crowned because heaven approved. You are not lifted because of perfection. You are lifted because of surrender. The light upon you will outlast applause and outshine criticism. It will guide others home, not to you, but through you to the source that lit you. When people look at you, they will sense rest without knowing why. The same peace that stabilized you through storms will flow outward, calming the restless hearts around you. You will not need to explain, your life will speak. And so, the night ends not with noise, but with brilliance. The long battle concludes not with exhaustion, but with empowerment. You are proof that endurance births radiance, that surrender yields authority, that obedience ends in glory. Chosen one, walk forward now, not as one uncertain, but as one crowned. Let your steps echo confidence, your words carry healing, and your silence glow with wisdom. You have finished a cycle, but the light that crowns you will guide the next. The world will change, but the crown remains. For this light is not borrowed, it is born within you. It is the eternal flame of divine presence, and it will never fade. You are crowned by light eternal, a living reminder that darkness never wins, and those who endure to the end shall shine forever. Beloved chosen one, if this journey has stirred something in your spirit, let it not end here. You have walked through revelation and rest, through warning and wonder. Now the light within you must move outward. The same flame that awakened you can awaken another. Think of this message like a candle. Its glow multiplies when shared. When you like, you breathe air into that flame. When you share, you carry its warmth into another soul's night. When you comment, you add your spark to a chorus of light that keeps the fire alive. Even a simple word, Amen, I receive, or Thank you, Lord, becomes an echo that ripples through unseen places. And when you subscribe, you choose to stay near the flow of these divine whispers, joining a circle of hearts walking the same road of faith and renewal. Each connection forms a thread, and together those threads weave a net of grace across the world. If this message reached you in a moment of darkness, consider helping it reach someone else who stands where you once stood. Every share is a rescue line. Every act of support is a seed that multiplies comfort. Heaven uses ordinary actions to deliver extraordinary hope. Let your presence here be a declaration, I will carry light forward. Type from your heart below. Speak blessing into the comments so that others reading may feel the warmth of your faith. And as you move on from these words, know that heaven still moves with you. The angels that watched as you read still guard the road ahead. You are not just the listener, you are now the messenger. So, breathe deeply. Lift your head and go shine. The world needs your light.